I love Neo's story. And I love this story that a trainer told you he wasn't going to be competitive in dog sports because he didn't have any drive. That really happened, huh?
Yes, that did really happen. But I mean, in the trainer's defense, I picked Neo. My purpose for the dog was for him to just lay there for hours with me, while I take landscape pictures, but be able to hike to those places. So I picked the dog that had the lowest drive and the lowest energy out of the entire litter.
But you still didn't like it when they told you that.
I
It
did
really
not
bugs
like
you.
that, yes. Nobody tells me I have a lemon, so we proved them wrong.
So what I love about it is because I think we've all had those moments in our life where somebody doubts us or tells somebody that, you're not going to be able to do this, or doubts our dog, and then you just show them. You prove everyone wrong. And what I love about your story is it's not luck. I mean, you've worked really hard with Neo. You've built a relationship. I see how much he does it for you. It's obvious you're out there together and you've had success in rally and agility. Yeah, and you perform at high levels at all of those and now scent work. And he finished 6th at Master Nationals. Does that kind of make you want to just go to that trainer that told you had a lemon?
Yeah, I mean, I've wanted to do that for a long time,
Let me go ahead and introduce this. This is Alert Scent Work. I'm Scott, a scent work competitor, also Murphy and Kiva's dad. And with me today is Lena Shuey, Neo, Remy, and Nix's mom. And her dog Neo and my dog Murphy are litter mates. So I guess I'm Neo's uncle. Is that right?
Yep, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a proud uncle too because of his 6th place finish at the first ever AKC Scentwork Master Nationals. So before we get to that, I'd like a little bit of context. What drew you into scent work? Was Neo your first scent work dog?
Neo was my first ever scent sport dog. He is my Nove Say dog for all
Okay,
the sports.
got it. And what drew you into scent work? Was that like one of the first things you did, or did it come along with agility and come along with rally and all those other things?
It came a little bit after, so I wanted to do rally because I was always drawn to obedience, but because he has very little food and toy drive. We took our first rally class with a local trainer and we struggled because he really was like, I don't really want to do it. And so then somebody told me about Hallie McMullen, and she was doing some classes on like drive building. And so I took a private lesson with her, and it really, really helped us with. And then, I learned about the wonderful world of scent sports through her because she was just like, well, why don't you take my intro class? Like this would help you build a bond with your dog. And so that's how we started out.
Curious. So a lot of people I talk to on this podcast, scent work is it for them. Like maybe they were into agility, maybe they were into something else, but for whatever reason, scent work was really then became the thing. Is it the thing for you, or is it just one of the things that you do?
It's becoming a thing. I'm noticing that I am foregoing entering other sports if there is a availability of scent work. I'm not quite there where it's all about scent work, but it's getting there.
All right. Well, what is it about scent work that's kind of drawing you in like that, and some of the other things are falling to the wayside? What is it that you like about it so much, do you think?
Well, I like that it's different, every time. Like all the other sports, it's really very much the same. Like obedience is the most rigid, maybe agility is not as rigid, rally is in between, but scent work is different. Every time is different, even with buried, even with containers. And it's also just fun because you have no answers. I really enjoy that. I don't know anything. We walk into the search and I really don't know anything. Whereas, in all the other sports, you are guiding the dog. And this is a sport where a dog is, you truly work as a team.
How long have you been competing in scent work then?
So our first trial was Blackfoot in June of 2022.
Okay. So 2022 to 2025. And then when did you decide you were going to go to Master Nationals?
As soon as I saw the post, like
Tell me
I saw,
yeah, so you saw what was going through your mind at that moment.
I'm going. I don't really care if we're ready. I don't care, how long it's gonna take me to drive. If there's a snowstorm, like we're making it there.
Yeah, so you drove. That was like a
Yeah,
three-day
we
drive
did
there
drive.
from
Yeah.
Idaho. Yeah. Why? Why did you go through all of that? Why was it so important to you?
Well, I'd like the sport to grow.
Mhm.
One, and I feel like if people don't support it, this new things that AKC is trying, uh, it may not continue.
Got
I'd
it.
like to see scent work grow into a sport that has, championships and regionals and nationals, plus it'd just be fun to be around so many talented dogs. This was amazing just to, there's like everybody there, was just great teams.
Yeah.
All had master titles, like a lot of dogs that you've met and that you admire. So yeah, it was just fun.
That's cool. Let's give a little context about Neo. So where was he? Because you said, you're gonna go whether he was ready or not. And from a third party observer, he was ready. Like there's no doubt in my mind he was ready for this. Like, where is he?
He has 12 detective cues, and he's got his master elite, so he's on the way to his second master elite. Okay, maybe I should rephrase it. I didn't know if I was ready,
Okay.
as a handler, but I was gonna go anyway.
All right, so let's talk about the event. So you said that you got all these teams there that have their master titles. A lot of great teams, some of them that you knew, some of them you've heard about. Was it a little intimidating at any point? Like, what was it like when you first showed up?
So I mean, there was just this, energy like of excitement, but also like a little bit of tension. Nobody really knew what it's gonna be, right? It's first. The rules are a little bit changed. It was intimidating, but I just wanted to participate. I did want to make it. Like my goal was, like my biggest goal was to take the top Aussie. Other goal was to make it to day 3. But yeah, I was like, seeing all these teams with, there were dogs with Master Elite 5, multiple
Wow.
detectives, Super Elite, even though it's not an official title. So yeah, you were like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to top 100. Like, look at all this, but everybody cheered for everybody. Like I felt like supported by all the people. I didn't feel like it was like negatively competitive, if that makes sense. Like
That
people were
makes total
truly
sense.
like excited for you.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch any of the other teams?
No, I did not. Like there was not really a spectator, and the volunteering that I did was more of a gate, sorting sheets, that kind of stuff. So yeah, unfortunately I did not get to watch anybody. That would have been really fun.
All right, so the format's a little different than what we're used to when we do our normal master searches at just a regular trial. The first 2 days, every search, regardless of whether it was interior, exterior, container buried, was 2 minutes. And then 2.5 minutes on day 3. Did that feel strange to you to have that kind of shorter time frame, or did that not bother you?
That didn't bother me too much. I didn't really overthink it. The part that was a little bit hard is, interior search was broken over 2 days. So that was a little bit, strange. And then plus you're like, oh, am I gonna remember how many hides I found, right? Because it was one search but spread over 2 days, 3 different rooms, but two were done on day 1, and the third room was done on day 2. And so essentially whatever you found on day 1 and 2, then you still fell under that, 2 to 6 hides. And so that was a little bit, I have a hard time remembering when it's like 1, 2, 3, so I had to write that down. um, not knowing what you found, was that correct? Like you knew if you called something wrong, right? But if you called finish, you didn't know if you found everything. But we've been doing some NSCSW, and that's kind of how their searches are. So that I think helped me be a little bit more relaxed about it because we've experienced that in other organizations.
And then the major difference was it was a scoring system. So if I understand correctly, you were awarded 10 points for each correct find, but then there were points subtracted if you made an incorrect call, or if you had a fault, or if you called finish incorrectly. So,
No
and if you
fault or points off if you called finish incorrectly. That was changed right
oh,
before because they
okay.
decided not to penalize people for missing hides and calling finish too early. But
Oh,
there was a points off if you didn't call finish within the time.
was that scoring system a little weird for you, or did you figure that out pretty quickly? Or did you just
No,
not think about it too much?
yeah, that wasn't strange. I didn't feel like that affected me in any way.
Right, and it's finally dawning on me that it wasn't just the interior, it was all the events when you'd call, alert, 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 whatever, finish, you didn't know if you'd found all the hides till you went and looked at the standings at the end of the day.
That's right. Unless there
Oh,
was, say, four and you found all four,
yeah,
which
sure. Right.
then you did know, but that was only happened once on day three. You
Okay.
know, so
Yeah,
there was not a maximum number of hides. So yeah, you didn't know.
yeah. Alright, so day 1, it was a perfect start. You had a perfect first day, no incorrect calls. Um, Tell me how that felt when you looked at that sheet and you saw where you were in the standings on day 1.
I was floored because I thought we totally bombed the interior. And the results weren't posted till 3 in the morning. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
so I looked and looked and looked. And then I'm like, doesn't matter. And so I went finally to sleep around 2:30, and then they were posted at 3. And so
Jeez.
I got there, people told me, like my friends told me, and I was just floored that he had a perfect score. Because I totally thought we missed at least one in the second room.
So that would have been so what floors me about this is we talk about getting it high in trial, right? And you have to have at least 3 events, sometimes 4 events. And at the master level, just even putting together 3 successful runs, a 3 out of 3 day can be really hard. And here you are at Master National and you had a perfect first day, like literally kind of a high in trial sort of a day.
It didn't feel like that till the next day. I can tell you that it felt not good. Like I doubted all my decisions, in all of the searches.
Well, day 1 was good. Day 2, a little tougher, I guess. You ended up missing a hide and exterior, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what challenges came up that day, and did you take anything away from that day?
So it was just a reminder to maybe still go in both directions. That one was tough. I can't remember how many dogs got all four, but it wasn't a lot. So it was essentially a four convergent orders that sat. We were last team of the day, so it
Oh,
sat
wow.
for the entire day. They were all within 6 foot, all four, and he found three immediately, and we missed, one, and I didn't want to oversurge the blank area, which I didn't know was blank, but yeah. So that was just, I think, was just a really tough. But it does make me wonder if I would have gone my usual, one direction, second direction, if he would have got it.
Yeah. That, last run, you were the last dog to run that, is that correct? Like, how long did those hides sit? 8 hours? More?
Probably not quite that long. I think we ran it. It was about 2 p.m. So they were there since the 8 o'clock. So it was a fair amount, and it was windy, of course, an exterior. So, um, but I mean, it is the national, right? So they have to be challenging, or otherwise it wouldn't be fun.
Oh, okay. So did you feel that in general, most of the searches were a little more challenging than your average kind of, master search you'd find at a regular trial?
was I mean, I've seen challenges like that, but they're not common, if that makes sense. Like I don't see often four converging orders in that tight of a space.
Right.
We see three commonly, but four was a little bit tough. Interior, yeah, I would say it was a little bit tougher, some of the rooms, and maybe more on the location. They were tighter. So I'd say it was a little bit like there was like I felt like there was a hide or two that were meant to be like picking out like the top dogs. If that makes sense, like I felt like it was a little bit more of a challenge. Yeah, it was just like I felt like the puzzles were a little bit more challenging, but not necessarily meant for dogs not to find it. If that makes sense, like I think they were all findable, but it was just I felt like that one was a challenging one, yeah, for us.
Did you find that buried in containers was a little bit more of a challenging hide set than what you'd normally see?
No, that one I felt like it was a standard, other than only having 2 minutes, for the buried, then 2 minutes for container. Like I felt like it was um maybe there was a little more food distractions in the containers that we normally see.
Oh, okay.
Like I think there was either two or three, and I don't feel like we normally see that many.
Okay. And then you did make it to day 3. So they combined day 1 and day 2 scores, and if you made it into the top 100 dogs, uh, you were able to go to the finals. And you were sitting in 4th place when you went into the finals. Tell me how that hit. What was that like emotionally?
That I mean that was great, but by day two I really calmed down. I'm like, I'm
Okay.
just gonna trust my dog. We're just gonna have fun. You know, and then with each hide, I felt like we were making it into the 100. Considering where he started out, so it relieved a lot of pressure for me. And so we
Right.
just had fun.
Good. Was it a little intimidating going into day 3, the finals, sitting in 4th place? Were you like, "Oh boy, I hope I don't screw this up?" That's what I would be thinking anyway.
Well, because at that point, I've already hit the goals that I came with, because he did wind up getting top Aussies. I was out of day one and two, and we
Okay.
made it to the finals. And I wasn't really think we had a chance of winning with all the amazing teams that were going into that. So I was like, well, we'll just have fun. So I
Oh,
would say
okay.
day one was the most challenging for me mentally.
And now help me understand, I couldn't figure out on paper what the finals look like. There were combined elements. Buried was combined with exterior and container with interior. What does that mean?
So the interior search had, multiple containers over two rooms. So it was one essentially search, but, adjoining rooms, and there was containers all throughout, as I was told. Apparently, I missed a lot of them. I did not see that many containers as they were. Uh, but, you know, I saw the boxes and I thought, wow, there's only 8 containers, but I've been told that there was considerably more of them. I just did not see them.
How many times have we been in that situation where you get done with a search and you can't even remember what was in the room? That's kind of funny.
The funny part about that one is that one of the hides was in a container, but I went into the master and I said, I'm just gonna trust my dog. He knows order. I'm just gonna call it when he tells me, because he's quite, I mean, as you know, he sits as an indication, and so it's simple to say when he's calling it. And so one of the containers was on the counter, and he, tried to source, and I thought it was inaccessible in the cupboard. But then he jumped up on top of it and hit something on the counter, but he's big, so I didn't see. And then he said, so I called it, but apparently it was a container. And so when I came out, when we were all done, and I was like, wow, I'm surprised there was only 8 containers. And then I got pointed out that there was a full amount of 16. I just didn't
Yeah.
see the other half.
All right.
And
So the combined means essentially 2 rooms. hides could be anywhere. They could be in the containers or they could be placed like a standard interior hide. You just didn't know. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So
Okay,
three were just standard interior hides, and one was in a container.
got it. And the same with buried. You were outside and you had the buried tubs, the sand and the water that you would search, but you were also doing an exterior search at the same time.
Yeah, and that one was more challenging, uh, is what I've heard, um, because the order was one of the hides was placed in a tree, and there was a buried tub within a couple feet, and I guess the order was settling in the tub, and so a lot of handlers called it prematurely. So that one I think was more of a challenge because Neo investigated the tubs and he had to make a decision, between was it in the rock or was it in the tub. So I felt like that was a bit more challenging than containers. Containers felt like, they're part of the room, right? So it felt more integrated for me into the search versus the buried.
So, day 3, when did you find out you had another perfect score?
So that was after all the dogs have run.
Only one of 6 dogs at AKC Master Nationals to have a perfect score. That's incredible. That what was going through your head when you saw that?
I was just so proud of him.
Yeah.
And he told me when he was done, he was like walked to the exit door and he's like, "Let's go."
That's right. He doesn't have patience for that. He doesn't have patience to oversearch an area. When you were preparing for Master Nationals, did you change your training at all? Or did you just do the same kind of training?
So I did start working on, helping him make decisions faster, and I did practice a little bit more challenging, like consciously set up, convergence and mirror hides and threshold hides and elevated ones. But the big things that I have worked with him is setting simpler things, calling it even before he called it, rewarding heavily so he was more confident into making the decision faster, so we can
Mm.
meet that 2-minute search constraint.
Murphy, who again is his litter mate, I will call like he has to find source. Even if I know that he's within 3 or 4 inches of it and I, call alert and try to reward him, he won't let me do that. Does Neo do that same thing?
Yeah, so it's very similar, and I let him source. Like I probably at the finals could have shaved off a minute if I would have been like he told me where it was, but he wanted to be sure. And it's fun for him, so I let him do it. I mean, there's got to be fun for him too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the fast hides and trying to call a little more quickly was more about giving him confidence and not about breaking this idea that he had to find exact
No,
pinpoint
it was
source.
more because a lot of times I feel like he is not sure even when he knows. And so it definitely helped us in detective as well. So he started being more confident in calling it instead of going over the area, 5 times, he would just do twice.
Were there any Neo moments that made you smile or surprise you over the weekend? He's such a character. Did he do anything that made you laugh or smile or
The funny one was, he's not a fan of buried. He never was. Like he just doesn't like the repetitive stuff of the tubs. And so on the second day, the first day it was great. He got the 3 tubs and it was, but on the second day, he finds the first one and there was only two, and then he kind of checks all of them and then finds the last one. And I was like, well, and I think he knew that my thought process was he didn't really check it that well, so maybe we'll hit a few of them. We've got time. So he gets to the last tub and he just literally hugs it with his feet, puts his head on it, and just sighs and says, "This is it. I promise. There's no more buried. There's only two." And I did
yeah.
call finish. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna make him do it, but just his face, and he was so happy. Like he started smiling when I called finish, and he was like, "Oh my god, she finally understood me."
Oh, that's great. That's funny because like something I'm starting to realize with scent work is it's really a game of communication with you and your dog. And that is just classic communication right there. I love it.
Yeah, and he really tries. Like we've grown over the last year. He like spells it out for me.
Did you learn anything about yourself or your handling or your team during nationals? Were there any kind of insights that you had?
Like it finally sunk in the whole trust your dog, because I mean that's essentially what I, after day one, where I second guessed, every sin, and he did so well. I'm like, day two and three, I'm here. I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna trust him. We're gonna cover the area, but I'm not gonna, make him over search. I'm not gonna second guess. It was so much more fun. So it like, and he did, amazing. Just not having to do things 15 times like I normally make him do.
That's great. That's a great lesson to learn. Uh, if somebody asked you for some advice, like me, for example, who wants to go next year, what advice would you give me leading up to the event?
The one advice that I would give is, I mean, definitely, practice, and everybody's going to have different challenges, right? But the one thing I would say, don't change things when you get there. Even if things are different and scary and stuff like that, because I think that would be a big mistake, Just don't, just go in, trust your dog, you've done all the prep work. There's nothing, you can do in those 3 days. If you change everything, you're probably not going to do as well. I don't know if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Go into that event the team that you were the day before you went into that event. Don't try to yeah.
Yeah, don't try to change things. Don't try to like do something better or something totally new. Um, and just have fun. Like, I mean, like just like that was like probably one of the funnest events, and we do a lot of different events just because, like, especially on day two and three, I was just having fun with my dog. I wasn't really worried about winning or losing. It was just watching him do his thing.
Yeah, you said in the email when I asked if you'd be on the show that it was a lot of fun, like, you were very adamant about that this was a good time.
It was, and it was very, very well organized. It was the first event of this kind. I felt like it was extremely well organized. You knew where you needed to be. There wasn't, a ton of waiting, despite 176 dogs competing. Uh, like, yeah, I mean, that was just amazing.
Right. Were you all crating in the same kind of area? Was it a massive crating room, or how did that
Yeah, it
work?
was a really big crating room. Some people crated out of the car because some it really didn't matter distance wise if you were in the parking lot or in the crate room. But yeah, it's a pretty big like ballroom, um, where you could crate if you wanted to do it inside.
Yeah. That didn't bother Neo at all?
No, he snoozed through the whole thing.
And then you said that it was really well run and you didn't have to wait that long, so they did a really good job of letting you know, like, what time you were gonna be going?
Yeah, so it had a app, I mean a web-based store. If you had Android, it was an actual app, and they were going in order, and you knew when you needed to get your dog. We never had to wait more than like 3 dogs staging. There was only one out of all days had one staging room where it was a little bit tight, but everything else, you had plenty of room. Even if you had the dogs that say didn't like other dogs, the flow was just amazing.
That's cool. How did you get to the point in day 2 and day 3 where you just decided, "I'm gonna have fun"? How did you put that competitive part of you aside and get into that mindset? 'Cause, that sounds like you said that was the key to you really having a good time.
Well, as much as I stressed out about day one, Scott, I was like, this is ridiculous. Nobody's gonna die. You know, if we don't make it to top, like nobody's gonna die if we don't find it or if we find 10 extra things in there. And so, yeah, I was completely ridiculous on day one.
Right. So it sounds like day one was just not fun, and you're just like, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to go through this mental anguish
No,
for
it
two
was
more.
fun while I was searching, but there is a long wait between searches because so 176 dogs have to go. So yeah, I had a lot of time to try to convince myself that we did really poorly, despite no evidence of that happening.
Right, right, right. Just the story you made up in your mind.
Yeah,
So let's stop making up those stories in my mind and let's start enjoying this thing. So are you going to go next year?
absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right. So
I really would love to go next year and the year after if they keep having it.
cool. And you've got a whole year to prepare. What are you going to work on? You're not going to change anything the day of when you show up, but is there something in particular you're going to work on in preparation for next year?
I think we are gonna continue to work on building his confidence and more puzzles. We now pretty heavily involved in NSCSW, which gives you a different, it's still a sound work, right? Still the same orders others than Cypress, but it's a little bit of a different way the searches are set. And we just signed up for our first NASDA trial. And so I think we just gonna play around in different sports and just build
Cool.
his confidence.
I love it. All right, Lena, going to wrap up with a segment I call 7 questions. You ready for this?
Okay,
I'm going to ask 7 questions, just looking for whatever comes to the top of your mind when I ask it, and looking for a sentence or two for each question. What is Neo's favorite reward after a great search?
goat cheese.
All
That's
right.
of course cost me an arm and a leg, and I have to work extra for it.
He doesn't work cheap. Okay.
Nope, he does not work cheap.
What's one piece of advice you would give your beginner scent work self?
Don't take it seriously.
All right. How do you bounce back after a tough trial day? Things just didn't quite go the way you wanted. Maybe you didn't get the cues. You had some frustrating moments. How do you recover?
I just go up into the mountains, just watch my dogs run, swim,
I love it. If your dog could describe you as a handler in one word, what would it be?
dance,
Intense?
dance.
Oh, dense. Other than the searches, what is your favorite part of a trial weekend?
I love volunteering. I love watching other teams and just, chatting with people that you sometimes only see at the scent work trials.
What's something about scent work that still delights you or surprises you?
Just, watching the dogs use their nose. Like that never gets old. Like I still fascinating, to me how they can just go and find this stuff.
Right. It would take us forever to find it, and they find it almost instantly sometimes. I'm gonna say also, I love it when you can see them thinking. You can see them solving the puzzle.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
that
really
like and that just I don't think that will ever get old.
yeah, I don't either. What's the best compliment you ever got at a trial?
I think it would be like, you guys are really fun to watch. Like I like when people say that.
What's one piece of advice you got that totally changed how you approach scent work?
I mean, I'd say, trust your dog is still like my favorite advice. It took me a really long time to really connect with that advice, like 3.5 years. But I feel like I'm starting to really figure out what that means.
I wanna dig a little deeper on that because I wanna know what does it mean to you to trust your dog? Because that's thrown around a lot without actually being defined. What does that mean?
So for me is really all about, it's that teamwork, it's not trying to solve the puzzle, but really working as a team, letting my dog do the work, watching him, and he's not always sure. Sometimes he asks me for help, and I have to put a little bit of thought, like, where do we go next? But not like for me, that trust your dog is really like working with him, not trying to override everything and micromanage.
Is there a mistake that you're glad you made because of what it taught you?
I think my probably favorite mistake was going into my first scent work trial, and not reading any of the rules, just taking some classes. And, the very first one, I didn't know you were supposed to say alert.
What?
Yeah, I mean, and it was Mary Quinn, who
Yeah, yeah.
patiently waited the entire 2 minutes of my novice interior search for me, fumbles through but all the vocabulary I knew to find that word.
So he finds it, and you're just spouting out random words, hoping that you're gonna hit the right
Yeah,
one?
I think I said something like I'm gonna call it. And she's like, there is a word. And I'm like, what word? She's like, there is a word. And so, yeah, I've had probably 40 words before I finally got that alert word out. I mean, I just had to laugh. And it also taught me that, reading the rules is quite helpful. So now I do read the rules.
Yeah, there can be some good stuff in there that can
Yeah,
help you make some
help a
decisions.
lot.
That is probably the best story I've ever heard. And ladies and gentlemen, from not knowing what word to call in her very first scent work trial to number 6, then top Aussie at the first ever AKC Master National Scent Work Championships. I love it. What a great way to end this conversation, Lena.
The one fun part about this for me is that the first search in Master National was Mary Quinn for us, and she
Oh,
was our
really?
very first scent work was under Mary Quinn. And this year he got his Master Elite last leg for his Master Elite, Master Interior under Donna Morgan Murray, and he finished his Master National with Donna Morgan Murray search. So I thought it was just really cool.
That's so cool. What a small world sometimes. And what just a great, what a great circular kind of story coming back, you know, to where it all began. Well, Lena, I just got to say thank you so much for taking time and telling us all about Master National and just some great insight. I can't wait to maybe start training next year so you and I can both compete against each other. I always love our friendly competitions against each other, so maybe we'll do it at Master Nationals. And thanks for some of the great insight.
Really fun.
I think it would be really fun. And next year, I hope to make the drive. So thank you very much for being on Alert Scent Work.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That was fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.